today we shall not only learn the muscles of the trunk, but also repeat the muscles of head and the neck. We shall use this muscle cadaver, and to distinguish each muscle, it would be better if we determine each of it. Let us begin from the head, and we shall pass down. The first muscle we can see here, number 3, is venter frontalis musculus epicranius. Musculus epicranius. It's paired muscle, and it is composed with scalp, with gallia aponeurotica. Now, this is musculus orbicularis oculi. Musculus orbicularis oculi. You can see here two parts of this muscle, number 4 and number 5. Number 4 is pars palpebralis of musculi orbicularis oculi, which tightly closes the eyes. And number 5 is the pars orbitalis musculi orbicularis oculi. Then, this is mouth, and around the mouth there are a lot of muscles. First of all, number 6, it's musculus levator labii superior. Musculus levator labii superior. And here, number 12, depressor labii inferior. Depressor labii inferioris. Number 11, it's musculus depressor anguli oris. Depressor anguli oris. At here, without numbering, musculus zygomaticus minor and musculus zygomaticus major. Zygomaticus minor and zygomaticus major. These muscles were muscles of facial expression, but the next, number 14, is musculus masseter. Musculus masseter. It concerns to another group, muscles of mastication. Here you can see one of the large glands, salivatory glands in our head, number 16, glandula parotida. Glandula parotida. Salivatory glands are necessary to produce a saliva, which is necessary during digestion of the food, and that's why we can see this ductus parotidus. We can see that it crosses musculus masseter, and here disappears. Why? Because it's penetrate musculus buccinator and enter into oral cavity. So, glandula parotida, ductus parotidus, and from another side we can see musculus buccinator, which this ductus parotidus penetrate to enter in to the oral cavity. From this side, we can see that musculus masseter is cutted transversely, and part of the zygoma is also cut off and removed. So, musculus temporalis, another large muscle of the mastication, also were cut and removed. Due to this removing of two muscles, we can see also the muscle which is deeply placed. This is musculus pterygoidus lateralis. Musculus pterygoidus lateralis. So, we remember it, muscles of the head, and now let us remember muscles of the neck. First of all, platysma. This is thin muscle which placed in first fascia and is a muscle of facial expression which were placed into the neck. When I cut it and turn superiorly, we can see behind of it musculus sternocleidomastoidus. Musculus sternocleidomastoidus. These two muscles are muscles of superficial layer. You remember that there are 3 layers of muscles on the neck: superficial, middle, and deep. In superficial layer, only 2 muscles. Then, middle layer. Another name of this group is muscle of hyoid bone, because all of them is connected with os hyoidum. And here we can see the muscles of hyoid group, which placed down from the os hyoidum. They are musculus sternohyoidus. Here it is, musculus sternohyoidus. Surely it's parietal muscle, and on another side, here it is, musculus sternohyoidus. It is most superficial muscle of this subgroup, and when we opened this space, we can see another muscle, musculus sternothyreoidus. Sternothyreoidus. Here it is, sternothyreoidus. Musculus sternothyreoidus. And from another side, we can see musculus thyrohyoidus. Musculus thyrohyoidus. Here it is. And the fourth muscle of middle layer muscles of the neck is musculus omohyoidus. Musculus omohyoidus. Here it is. It's very interesting muscle because of it crosses the neck obliquely. And that's why it divides all the neck into 4 trigonums, 4 triangles. This is one of them. Trigonum omotracheale. This is the second, trigonum caroticum. This is the third, trigonum claviculare, because this is clavicula, claviculare. And the last, the fourth, is trigonum trapezium. Trigonum trapezium. So musculus omohyoidus is of great importance to divide neck into triangles or trigonums. So we remembered the muscle of the neck and the muscles of the head. And now corpse. We understand that corpse is a part of our body where internal organs placed. The upper part of the corpse is thoracic cage or rib cage, and inferior part of the corpse is abdominal cavity. If we shall cut and remove the thoracic wall and abdominal wall, we can see internal organs. But let us begin from the muscles. You ought to know classification of the muscles of the chest and of the abdomen. Some of the superficial muscles are connected with upper extremity. And first of all, this is number 45, it's musculus pectoralis major. Musculus pectoralis major. Musculus pectoralis major is quite large muscle. It arises from 3 places. First of all, when we speak about oligo, where it arises, here it is, the ribs and so named sheet of musculus rectus abdominis, this part. Second part of the arising is ribs and sternum. This is pars sternalis. And third part is clavicula, pars clavicularis. All these 3 parts as a fan became narrow and inserts to the humerus, tuberculum majus humeri. You can see that such kind of placing, musculus pectoralis major, allows it to fulfill the next function, to draw arm to the trunk and rotate it medially. That means to adduct this movement, adduction and rotating medially. Adduction and rotating medially. It was written also that one of the functions of this muscle, repeat please the last function, was the drawing of the ribs. It's very important to understand in which situation musculus pectoralis major can raise the ribs. It's necessary to fulfill this function that that the arm will be fixed. In this position, musculus pectoralis major can serve as muscle of the inspiration. It's additional function, and only sportsmen during some exercises and patients with asthma use this possibility. What's necessary to do to inspirate with contraction of musculus pectoralis major? To fixate an arm. So these patients during serious difficulties is in inspiration usually sit down on the bed, tightly fix their hand on the bed, and so make fixation of musculus of arm, muscles of the arm. And so in these conditions, musculus pectoralis major can raise the ribs and provide inspiration. So only in pathological situation we use this muscle for inspiration. And as I said, also sportsmen during some exercises. If we shall cut and remove this muscle, behind of it we can find another muscle, musculus pectoralis minor. Musculus pectoralis minor. You can see it is smaller than pectoralis major. It arises from 3 ribs, costa secunda, terza, quarta, and inserts to the processus coracoideus. Processus coracoideus scapulae. That's why this muscle cannot move an upper extremity. It only could fixate the scapula. So function of this muscle is fixate scapula or shoulder blade. And again, when the scapula is fixated, in this situation, also as a pectoralis major, it could raise the ribs and serve as muscle of inspiration. So, pectoralis major, pectoralis minor. I would like to demonstrate now very interesting topographical place, sulcus deltoideo pectoralis. It's named so because of this is musculus deltoideus. It's muscle of this shoulder girdle, and this sulcus divide musculus pectoralis major and musculus deltoideus. Sulcus deltoideo pectoralis. Here, one of the important superficial veins is placed. Vena cephalica placed here. So, now if I turn our body in the left side, we can see another muscle, number 46. 46. You can see several indentation on the lateral part of the chest. It's musculus serratus anterior. Musculus serratus anterior. This very interesting indentations of the muscle is place of arising, because it arises from the ribs, from first 9 ribs. Each of it has such kind of indentation. And again, all of them as a fan gathered in the medial part of the scapula, and so we can say that insertio of this muscle is scapula. So function of this muscle is immobilization of the scapula and pulling it forward. Immobilize for scapula can be fixed. For example, for deep inspiration in pathological situation of patients with bronchial asthma. And another interesting muscle, it's musculus subclavius. Here it is. It's named so because it's placed under the claviculum. Musculus subclavius. And now, another group of the muscles, surnamed autochthonous muscles of the chest. What does it mean, autochthonous muscles? It means that during of intrauterine period of the development, in embryological period, all the muscles developed from the surnamed myotomes, which were placed on the trunk parallelly, one to other. And with growing of the trunk, with growing of the body, many of the muscles moved from original place to another. But those who developed on the same places as it were from the beginning, they named autochthonous muscles. And very interesting example is these two muscles which are between the ribs. So musculus intercostalis internus and externus. Musculus intercostalis internus and externus. I would like we look at our skeleton. We prepared here from the left side demonstration of placing these two muscles. With blue plastic is demonstrating musculus intercostalis externus, and with red plastic, musculus intercostalis internus. What is very interesting, musculus intercostalis externus arises from the upper rib and inserts to the lower rib. So, function of musculus intercostalis externus is raises the ribs and consequently they are the muscles of the inspiration. When they contract, we can inspire. Contrarily, musculus intercostalis internus arises from the lower ribs and inserts to upper ribs. So the function of it is draw of each of ribs, and so they fulfill function of expiration. Very interesting that these two muscles are antagonists. Function of them is different. External is muscles of expiration and internal are muscles of expiration. And another very interesting feature, you can see that red muscles fulfill the interrib space till sternum. But here we cannot see the blue one. Musculus intercostalis externus is absent in this part between cartilage of the ribs. There are only musculus intercostalis internus. So, these two muscles fulfills parts of the intercostal space. Musculus intercostalis externus from the spine till to cartilaginous parts of the ribs, and musculus intercostalis internus contrarily from the sternum till angulus costae. So, due to this feature, we can see, for example, here, number 15, musculus intercostalis internus. Why internus? You can ask me. We can see it externally. No, musculus intercostalis externus is number 48. To make it more understandable, we can compare the direction of the fibers of these muscles with the muscles of abdomen. This is musculus obliquus abdominis externus. And my pointer is directed the same way as fibers of this muscle. So, this is direction of musculus obliquus abdominis externus. And I rise here, and it will be coincide with the directions of musculus obliquus abdominis externus. That means musculus obliquus abdominis externus has the same direction of fibers as musculus intercostalis externus. And contrarily, musculus intercostalis internus has the same direction as musculus obliquus abdominis internus. So we shall use this fact to distinguish these two intercostal muscles. There are also another muscles of autochthonous group, but to demonstrate it, we should like to cut and remove the chest wall. And so I can demonstrate to you here, so named musculus subcostalis. You can see musculus subcostalis has the same direction as musculus intercostalis internus. This is intercostalis internus. But it overlaps one rib. So it's longer than musculus intercostalis internus. The same function. This is muscles of expiration. So now we can understand which way the muscles of the chest were organized. And now let us learn the muscles of the abdominal. They also are subdivided into several groups, and first of them, the group of anterior and lateral wall. Here, there are three muscles. They placed together with three layers. We can see here two of them. So they are so named broad muscles. The first of them, the most superficial, is musculus obliquus abdominis externus. Obliquus abdominis externus. It's very broad muscle. It arises from last ribs, origo of this muscle is last ribs, and the fibers go obliquely and inserts, first of all, to the crista iliaca. Here it is, crista iliaca. Linea alba, what is it? In our cadaver, it's number 53. Linea alba is the place where these two muscles from left side and right sides become most close and organize this line. Linea alba is very interesting part of the abdomen where is not many blood vessels, and so, for example, it's useful for surgical operation, for cutting here, to penetrate, to enter into abdominal cavity for fulfill some surgical operation. And it's very interesting that while inserting, musculus obliquus abdominis externus also inserts into spina iliaca anterior superior and tuberculum pubicum. Spina iliaca anterior superior and tuberculum pubicum. So here and here. Spina iliaca tuberculum pubicum. Spina iliaca anterior superior and tuberculum pubicum. On the right part of our pelvis, I tried to demonstrate the way which these muscles insert to these points. So, it's tendon which named aponeurosis. It's surnamed aponeurosis. And looks here. Aponeurosis. So wide and broad tendon of these muscles. Aponeurosis. Musculus obliquus abdominis externus. That is the fibers, muscle fibers, and this is aponeurosis. The white is aponeurosis, especially organized tendon, which is very broad, very thin, and very wide. And in our skeleton, I tried to demonstrate which way this aponeurosis inserts to these 2 points. I hope it's understandable that when aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis externus inserts in these 2 points, we can find special grooves which is due to this insertion. And now, when I demonstrate the aponeurosis with this paper, you can see that its lowest part has a special significance. It is surnamed ligamentum inguinale. Ligamentum inguinale. Let us try to explain what is it, ligamentum inguinale. We can say that ligamentum inguinale is a part of aponeurosis musculus obliquus abdominis externus when it inserts in 2 points in tuberculum pubicum and spina iliaca anterior superior and make here a special groove. It's of great importance because it's topographically very serious place. It's named inguinal canal, canalis inguinalis. And using this cord, I tried to demonstrate that inside of this groove, inside of this canal, placed a special organ which named funiculus spermaticus. Funiculus spermaticus. You can see here the moulage of male reproductive system. You can see here the male testis and a special organ which connects testis with the urinary tract, so named ductus deferens. But ductus deferens enters to the urinary tract through the canalis inguinalis, through this canal. And just now our black cord demonstrate this funiculus spermaticus, which consist ductus deferens. And in our cadaver we can demonstrate the same. This is funiculus spermaticus. If we shall cut it and open, we can see that inside of it there is ductus deferens. Inside of funiculus spermaticus is ductus deferens. So, for us it's very important to know that musculus obliquus abdominis externus has a part which named inguinal ligaments, that is part of inguinal canal. Inside of inguinal canal there is very important organ, ductus deferens and funiculus spermaticus in male, and not so important in reproductive sense organ in female, ligamentum teres uteri. Ligamentum teres uteri. Like now we demonstrate this cord. In female, it could be ligamentum teres uteri. But in female, it is not serious reproductive function. It is some kind of rudiment. Let us continue. So, first of these broad muscles is musculus obliquus abdominis externus. If we cut it vertically, we can find behind of it the next muscle, musculus obliquus abdominis internus. Musculus obliquus abdominis internus, number 54. Musculus obliquus abdominis internus. We already said that direction of this muscle coincide with the direction of musculus intercostalis internus. The same direction, here and here, and direction of musculus obliquus abdominis externus coincide with the direction of musculus intercostalis externus. Where is arise musculus obliquus abdominis internus. Origo is fascia thoracolumbalis, crista iliaca, and from ligamentum inguinale. Crista iliaca, you can see here. Here it is. What is fascia thoracolumbalis? If I turn our cadaver, this white part is fascia thoracolumbalis. Here it is, fascia thoracolumbalis. From it also arises musculus obliquus abdominis internus. And from lateral part of ligamentum inguinale. So, if here it is, ligamentum inguinale, we can understand that from lateral part of it, these fibers arises. And where is insertion of this muscle? Insertio is margo inferior, coste, number 12, 11, and and 12, 11, and 10. So, if we also cut this muscle, obliquus abdominis internus, inside of it we shall find third similar muscle, and I would like to demonstrate it here. All three muscles are cutted, and number 18 is musculus obliquus abdominis externus, 19 obliquus abdominis internus, and 20 musculus transversus abdominis. Musculus transversus abdominis. And all three muscles had different direction of the fibers, and all of them has aponeurosis, so named white thin tendon, which covers the next muscle, musculus rectus abdominis. Rectus abdominis. It's very interesting that we can see in our cadaver musculus rectus abdominis on the left side, and we can't see it on the right side. Why? Because on the right side we did not cut the aponeurosis. So aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis externus make so named sheath for these muscles, and that's why we can't see it. Musculus rectus abdominis is very important muscle for movements of the spine. And not only spine, the corpse as well. It arises from the ribs and also from the sternum, processus xiphaidus sterni, and inserts on the pelvis to os pubis. So during contraction, the function is that it pulls the ribs downward. And contrary, when we, for example, do some sports exercises, when we lying down on the floor and try to make our legs and pelvis up, we use musculus rectus abdominis to fulfill this movement. And another very interesting situation that we can see some transversely placed tendon-like structures. They are intersectiones tendina. Intersectiones tendina. Intersectiones tendinea. Intersectiones tendinea. And in our thin man, also we can demonstrate them. That's why the abdomen of sportsmen are so relief, because of each of these 4 or 5 parts of the muscles became concave. And we can ask ourselves why we have these structures. Again, due to features of embryological development, because this is result of development from the different myotomes. This is part of former myotomes, and we can understand that at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 myotomes were the origin of this muscle. And now, very important things, the structure of sheath of musculus obliquus abdominis, of musculus rectus abdominis. This is aponeurosis. Aponeurosis covered musculus rectus abdominis. And very important to understand that there are 3 aponeurosis. Aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis externus, aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis internus, and aponeurosis of musculus transversus. And before the umbilical, upper of umbilical, the anterior wall of the sheath is organized by 2, or we could say 1.5 aponeurotical laminae. One of them is aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis externus, and the second, or the half of the second, is aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis internus, which divided into 2 laminae, like my fingers, which covered from anterior and posterior side this muscle. And from posterior wall also there are 1.5 laminae, aponeurotical laminae. Aponeurosis of musculus obliquus abdominis internus and aponeurosis of musculus transversus abdominis. So, lower of umbilical, all three of these aponeuroses came anteriorly and posterior wall of the sheet organized by fascia of musculus transversus abdominis. So, now we turn our cadaver and try to see the muscles of the back. I would like to demonstrate only all these muscles, and also we begin from the superficial muscles, very large paired muscle, 33, musculus trapezius, musculus trapezius. One of them, one of two paired muscles, has three-angle form, but together, left and right, they form trapezial form. So musculus trapezius, it arises from the spine and inserts to the scapula. First of all, spina scapula. That's why the function of this muscle is to elevate the scapulae and pulls both scapulae to the back. Another muscle, here it is musculus rhomboidus, rhomboidus. There are musculus rhomboidus major, and its upper part is rhomboidus minor. Rhomboidus major and rhomboidus minor. If you see here, without cutting of musculus trapezius, we can see again musculus rhomboidus major. This is musculus rhomboidus major. Lowerly, number 34, musculus latissimus dorsi. Musculus latissimus dorsi. It arises from the spine, from the crista iliaca also, from the ribs, and inserts into humerus, crista tuberculi minoris humeri, crista tuberculi minoris humeri. And that's why the function is that it pulls the upper limb to the back. Pulls to the back. And here we can demonstrate the muscles which concerns to the deep layer, so named lateral tractus, tractus lateralis or musculus erector spinae. Musculus erector spinae. It consists of 3 bundles. One of them, number 43, is musculus iliocostalis. Musculus iliocostalis. The next, number 41, is musculus longissimus. Musculus longissimus. And the most medially placed is musculus spinalis. And closely to the head, we can find number 32, musculus semispinalis cervicis, and close to it, which is cutted from the left side, musculus semispinalis capitis. This is musculus semispinalis capitis. And very interesting that there are several small but very important muscles, so named occipitovertebral group, which consist of musculus rectus capitis posterior, rectus capitis posterior major et minor, number 29, musculus rectus posterior capitis major et minor, and musculus obliquus capitis inferior, number 30, and superior, number 31. So, musculi obliquus capitis inferior and obliquus capitis superior. They are closed, they are hidden, but very important for the movements of the head. Some another muscles which we can see here don't deal with the back but with the upper limb, and we shall learn them in our next lecture. So, today we finish. Our lecture is over. I wish you success in your study. Thank you.